Greetings, this is Reverend Paul, and this is Studio Chojin Raw. I hope everybody is well, I hope everybody is safe out there, and thank you for clicking on this video. Today, we're going to be talking about Your Name, but before we do that, there is some business I'd like to take care of first. If you've been watching this channel for any significant period of time, you might already know I'm an artist. I do all the artwork for Studio Chojin, I do all the graphics, and lately I've been doing a lot of art commissions. I've been drawing original characters for people, I've been drawing fan art, and I've been having a lot of fun doing it. So I just wanted to let everyone know out there, here at Studio Chojin, commissions are open, and if you'd like to have a Studio Chojin art commission, feel free to DM me on Twitter, feel free to send me an email. All my social media info is located in the description of the video. My rates are very reasonable, and I'd be happy to draw anything you like. I also wanted to mention I created a Studio Chojin coffee account. Coffee? I don't know how you say it. I created a Studio Chojin coffee account, so if you've been enjoying the Studio Chojin videos and you want to support the channel, feel free to donate anything you can to coffee. If you want to support the channel but you can't donate anything, you could always show your support by liking the video and leaving a comment, sharing the video. Any way you choose to support the channel is greatly appreciated, and thank you once again for checking out the stupid things I'm doing here. The last thing I wanted to mention before we get to our main topic is there's been some Godzilla news recently. Recently, it was announced there's going to be a new Godzilla anime called Godzilla Singular Planet. It's going to be a mix of 2D animation and CGI, which I think is a great choice. The rubber suits in the Godzilla movies made the kaiju feel otherworldly. It's an important part of the style of those films. So making the kaiju CGI and the human characters 2D, I think is a great way to preserve that effect. The anime will be directed by Atsushi Takahashi, who was the director of the Blue Exorcist movie and Doraemon the movie. And the show will be written by To Enjo. Now, I'm not familiar with To Enjo, but evidently he's a speculative fiction writer and a science fiction writer. And a dude with those kind of credentials, I think, is a really good choice for a Godzilla show. Especially if the show is going to focus on the more sci-fi aspect of Godzilla, which is something we saw a lot in like the Showa series. Godzilla's Singular Planet will also have character designs by Kazue Kato and kaiju designs by Studio Ghibli alum Eiji Yamamori. The show is going to be premiering on Tokyo MX in April of 2021. So, you know, there's that to look forward to. Previously, we had the Godzilla anime trilogy that premiered on Netflix, which was not very good. It was pretty bad. I tried my best to like it, but it was not great. I'm hoping this new Godzilla show corrects a lot of the problems with the last Godzilla anime. There isn't a lot of information on the new Godzilla show yet. They did release some art of the characters, and I really like the character design so far. It's definitely a big improvement over the designs in Godzilla Planet of Monsters. Everybody in this new show looks very colorful and stylish, and they all have these unique personalities that you can kind of see already in their designs. In the Netflix Godzilla anime trilogy, everybody was wearing the same fucking spacesuits and you couldn't tell anybody apart. So already this show is looking pretty good. I like this chick here with the suit on. She kind of reminds me of Saotomi Ishihara from Shin Godzilla. So I'm looking forward to this. I think this show is going to be pretty cool. Let's hope it's not going to suck. I'm hoping it's going to be good. Let's hope it will be good. And for anybody else who's wondering, yes, I'm going to finish my review of the Godzilla anime trilogy. I still have to talk about Godzilla the Planet Eater. I will get to it. It's on the list of things to do. So moving on. So with all that out of the way, let's get to the main topic of today's video. Your Name is an anime that was released in 2016 in Japan, and the English version was released in 2017. It's been out for a while, but the one good thing about no new movies being released in 2020 is it's giving me time to catch up with all the backlog of movies I have sitting on my shelf. So I know I'm late to the party with this one, but you know, better late than ever. Your Name is written and directed by Makoto Shinkai, and it's the highest grossing anime of all time, and it's the highest grossing Japanese film of all time. The story of Your Name centers around Taki and Mitsuha. Taki is a teenage boy living in Tokyo, and Mitsuha is a teenage girl living in the Japanese countryside. Taki and Mitsuha have never met each other, but a strange twist of fate causes them to switch bodies and live each other's lives. Over the course of time, the body switching causes the two to form a bond. And mysteriously one day, the body switching stops. It's at that point Taki decides to travel to the Japanese countryside to seek out Mitsuha and finally meet her in person. From this point on, there's going to be spoilers, so you've been warned. The best way I think I can describe Your Name is to say it's kind of like the hentai movie Body Transfer. Weirdly enough, Your Name shares a lot of similarities with Body Transfer. Both films make use of time jumps. The first thing the male character does when he's in the female character's body is feel himself up. A character needing to pee while in the body of another character is a part of the story. I'm starting to think Makoto Shinkai was probably a big fan of Body Transfer. One thing you should probably know about me is my favorite stories are human stories. Stories that are about the human condition. It's the reason why I hate Metal Gear Solid 2. People can talk to you till they're blue in the face about the meta-narrative in Metal Gear Solid 2 and the philosophy and the way it takes real-world events and fucking mixes it into the narrative, but at the end of the day, it's soulless. It's kind of like an Yngwie Malmsteen guitar solo. It's technically impressive, but extremely hollow. It's why I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is the best game in the series, because you can boil down that whole story to the relationship between the two main characters. This is what I think makes Your Name a great movie. The story of Your Name focuses on the relationship between Taki and Mitsuha, and that relationship serves as a metaphor for the much greater ideas of the film. What I really feel like the story of Your Name is about is this idea of trying to make yourself feel whole, or trying to find that thing that's missing in your life. And that idea can be looked at several different ways depending on the context. The first way you could interpret the film is looking at it as a movie that is dramatizing the origin of soulmates. Kind of like the song The Origin of Love from Hedwig and the Angry Inch. It's a movie that's explaining why some people meet each other and fall in love, and it seems like they've known each other forever. Your Name is basically saying, well, the reason they feel like they've known each other forever is because they did know each other forever. In this strange way, they were actually one person. They were one person inhabiting one body. And through some strange course of action that they don't understand, they've been ripped apart. And now these two people need to find each other again to feel that completion. And even when you think about the idea of soulmates, it's kind of a strange idea if you try to think about the logic behind it. Think about two people who fell in love and found each other, and the way them finding each other in a strange way kind of defied all logic. The fact that two people from different parts of the world who had very different cultures and were leading very different lives, somehow they found each other. Despite all the odds, despite being separated by all these things, these two people found each other. And I think that's one way you could look at Your Name, because this idea of distance, this idea of separation in Your Name is a big theme in it too. Mitsuha and Taki are separated by distance, they're separated by time, they're separated by death, but they somehow defy the odds and still find each other again. Another way to look at the movie is this idea of nostalgia, and how when you get older in your life, you're constantly trying to, or at the very least, it feels like you're trying to find something you lost. Something you had when you were younger is now gone, and you spend your entire life as an adult trying to recapture it again. I thought I was really smart for interpreting the movie as this kind of play on nostalgia, but then there's that one scene where Taki goes on the date and they go to that art show, and the name of the art show is Nostalgia. So the movie kind of beats you over the head with that idea. But you could see that play out with the relationship with Taki and Mitsuha, because the movie is bookended with them as adults. We begin the movie with Taki and Mitsuha as adults, and then the movie ends that way. We definitely get the impression that as adults, they feel this longing in their life for this thing that they're missing. And obviously this thing that they're missing is this relationship they had when they were younger, but they don't know it. It's sort of that inexplicable thing about nostalgia. You don't know what it is you're missing, but it just feels like it's not there. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's as if you're trying to find that perfect moment, a perfect moment that existed when you were younger, and as an adult, it's become lost to you. I've heard some people say that a weakness with the movie is that the love story between Taki and Mitsuha isn't really explained. They just love each other and we don't know why. But I think that's kind of missing the point of the film, because this is not a story about why they love each other. This is a story about the fact that they do love each other and they are destined to be together. They are meant to be together, and they have been ripped apart from each other and now need to find each other again. This idea as to why, do they love each other? It's an idea that doesn't matter. And quite frankly, love is inexplicable. If you've ever been in love, quite frankly, you can't really explain why you're in love with somebody. You can give superficial reasons to try to rationalize why you might love somebody. You might say, oh, well, I love this person because they're funny, or they understand me, or they're charming. And it's like, well, I could show you 20 other people who have the same qualities. Why don't you love them? It's that that weird je ne sais quoi. Why do you love this person and not this person? You really can't explain it. And so in that regard, I mean, I don't think the movie should try to explain why Taki and Mitsuha love each other. They just do, and that's all that matters. But I also feel like this is why the sunset scene, that scene where Taki and Mitsuha finally meet each other at sunset, I think this is the best scene in the movie. And honestly, it's I don't know, it's a really great scene. I want to say it's probably in my, it's got to be one of my favorite scenes of all time at this point. It's an awesome scene, and the build up to that scene is great. And that entire scene is about this perfect moment. It's about these two characters meeting each other and sharing this perfect moment with each other, and that moment fades and it goes away, and then they spend their entire life trying to find that moment again. You know, and when that Radwimps song starts playing, I'm tearing up. I'm tearing up thinking about it because it's such a great observation about the human condition. Like, it's not the most technically complicated scene in the world, but it is a scene that is honest in terms of like what it means to be a person and what it means to like live your life feeling like there's an emptiness that you're trying to fill. What makes that scene even more poignant, Taki and Mitsuha are spending their entire lives trying to find each other and relive that moment again. And even though the movie ends on this kind of happy note that Taki and Mitsuha find each other again, their love isn't going to last. It's going to fade. When you look at Mitsuha's mother and you look at her grandmother, you know, her mother died and her grandmother, we assume, is a widow. And the movie implies that, you know, her family has gone on this journey like she has before. Their love didn't last. The love her grandmother had for her grandfather and the love her mother had for her father didn't last. It faded. And so the love Taki and Mitsuha share will ultimately fade. So there is this, there's this sadness that permeates the movie. But at its core, I guess the point I'm trying to make is at its core, the movie is about trying to find that thing that is missing. It's about trying to find that thing that's missing in your life. And I think it conveys that emotion very beautifully. And it's done very, very well. Now, I was crying. This movie had me crying. I was very moved by it. It was a very good film. Another strong scene in the movie was the flashback. That flashback to Mitsuha's life, where Taki drinks the sake. Taki's drinking the sake. Taki fucking does a shot of sake, and then he fucking trips out and goes into like Mitsuha's past. Then he kind of relives her life, and we see her being born, we see her sister born, we see her mother, you know, dying in the hospital, and the fallout her father had with her grandmother. That was all very well done. It kind of reminded me of the scene in Up. Even though this scene had a lot more dialogue in it, it still was effective visual storytelling, and there was a lot of information conveyed in a very small amount of time, and it carried a lot of emotional weight, and I thought that scene was really brilliant. I think the music in Your Name is really great. Radwimps, I believe, is the band that did the music, and that song Sparkle is fucking awesome. I hear the piano and the fucking and my fucking eyes start to well up. I start fucking crying just hearing the fucking piano to that song. But what I like about Your Name is that it uses music correctly, because from my point of view, there's no dialogue that can compare with music. Music is the best way to convey emotion, and this movie does it in a really great way. It's almost as if the movie is a series of vignettes that's pieced together with these kind of music videos, but the music really does a good job of sort of conveying the emotion of the scene and the way the characters feel. And like I said, I feel like that's the best way to use music in a movie. That's why I think Conan the Barbarian is fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger's best fucking performance, because he doesn't say anything in the movie. All the emotion in that movie is told through the score. And I feel like we get that same idea here with Your Name, where a lot of the emotion of the film is packed into the score. Some people would see that as a failing, but like I said, I don't see that as a problem. Dialogue does not work for me. You know, music works for me. I can connect with the emotion of a scene through the musical score more than the dialogue. And I think this movie does a really great job of using the music in the right places, and tonally, the music fits the right note, and it really expresses how these characters feel in those specific instances. This was a really great movie. I thought Your Name was awesome. I mean, I'm upset it took me so long to watch this, because I really think this is probably the best anime to come out of the 2010s. I used to always say Madoka Magica was my favorite anime to come out of the 2010s. Your Name, in my opinion, I think surpasses it. I think Your Name is better than Madoka Magica. It's a really great movie. And like I said, it's because it zeroes in on this kind of core feeling of what it means to be a person. That's what great work does. Great work is commenting on the human condition. You know, that's what this movie is. It's disguised as this kind of like teen body swap comedy, but it's actually a very kind of poignant film that is filled with a lot of melancholy and a lot of optimism, and it's beautiful. It's a great movie. You know, I loved everything about it. I can't can't say enough good stuff about Your Name. At the risk of sounding like a boomer, I feel like it's a movie you appreciate more the older you are. If I would have seen this movie as a teenager, I don't think I would have gotten it. I think I would have just kind of watched it and just kind of shrugged, would have been like, it was all right. The older you are, the more you're able to relate to the material. That's not to say that you can't get it if you're younger, but it does seem to me like it's a movie that you will have a much easier time appreciating if you have some years under your belt. I'm interested in seeing more work from Makoto Shinkai. I was going to do a review of Interspecies Reviewers next week, but actually I think I'm going to do a review of Weathering with You, Shinkai's follow-up to Your Name. I think he's a really great director, and I'd like to see, what else he does with the concept, especially because I'm hearing Weathering with You is kind of almost like it's very Your Name-esque, so it's probably not going to be as good as Your Name, but I'm definitely curious to check it out. So yeah, that's all I really got to say at this point about Your Name, so until we meet again.